Okay, so first we uncrate it. You can just take the top and flip it over and set up on that. Keep from scratching the lid. This box got a little wet, but no big deal. Unpack everything. First thing is the lid. Just flip it on over and unpack the rest. You can put this together in about 15-20 minutes. It's real simple, but there's a couple of mistakes that you could make that would ruin your whole day, and you'll end up spending hours to fix it. So, and as you can see, you can put these together in a confined area. You just need really one tool, a screw gun with a Phillips head, a magnetic tip is handy. There's one packet of screws, and they're all the same. So there's no specific screws or anything for a specific part. They're all the same. So you take these two flat bars, and they're kind of reinforcement, and set them over the holes on the lid and run the screws in. There's 4 screws for each bar. Do not over tighten. There is no metal backing on these screw holes, so just run them in snug and just leave it that way. Then there's this other piece, and it only fits on one side. These screw holes are a little bit tight, so run it in one side, screw into one end, and then go to the other end and push it all the way so that you can get the other one started. It will fit, it just barely fits. So now push it, you might have to lift it out and then to the track to push it down, and then put it back in the track, and then there's 6 or 8 screws. The hinges are those cylinders with gas in them, and they uh, set the screw in the hinge. It'll hold it, and then put the screw gun on. That's the easiest way to do those. Just set it, put it right over the hole, and then just run it in. the next one you can run in regular, but that first one it's easiest just to put it in the hole and hold the screw with the hinge. But however you do it, it's all just pretty simple. Just, you know, whatever it takes. And leave the hinges in the open position. Excuse me. Two screws in each one. And set the lid aside. Now these fasteners are pretty much these protruding hooks, and so you see how there's an even number along that just kind of evenly spaced, but there's two at one end. There's two of them together. See that? Those two together, that's where you want to start. So you take your corner piece and start with that end with two, and set it over, push it on, and then just smack it with your hand. Smack it the rest of the way down. Don't use a mallet. You can actually put a hole in this thing with the mallet, and you don't need it. It's just real easy just to start with the end with two, push it on, and push it the rest of the way on. You don't have to hit it that hard at all. It's just, well, you do. Just slap it on there. You'll see. It's simple. Then same with these. Go with the end with two. Start with that. Excuse me. And these you can just push on, and they're pretty sturdy. You can just leave them there. They'll stay. And just line it up and push. Okay, now it's really critical that you do this next step right now. You got to put the floor on right now. It must be put on right now. And it's kind of precarious, but you basically just stick it in the slot at one end. And you don't have to get it all the way in. Just stick it in enough to hold it, and go to the other end, open that up, slide it in the slot, and then slide it back, and then just keep pushing it into the slot all the way around. And these have a hole, and then there's this the protrusion has a hook on it. So as you close these, they'll snap, they'll click. And I'm making each one of them click right now. And I'm just going around and make sure they click. And that's kind of a lock. Now the next step is also critical. Do not take those corner pieces and put them on there like that right now. Do not do that. Because you'd never be able to spread them wide enough to get the middle, the side piece on. So the side piece, the corner pieces need to go on the side piece first. And start with the end with two. Slap it on. And see, now that piece will lower right on to that other piece, to the box. Just from the top, you can just lower it straight on, and then everything will line up. If you don't do it this way, boy, you could have a real headache. Like if all you did was just took that corner piece and stuck it on there, you'd be hours trying to get it apart. You cannot take these joints apart. So line it up, smack it down. Nothing to it. Now it's got these kind of cosmetic corner caps that cover up the corners, tops of the corners. And you can just pry those on. Some of them are a little bit tricky, but you just kind of pry them on there and they'll go on. There's this bar on the other side that can get in the way. It'll be stuck all the way to one end and you won't be able to get that cap on. You can just take your finger, that bar will easily move and you can get the cap on. So you got the caps on. Now you can take these braces. There's these little brace brackets, big old brace brackets, and they got 2 holes. They fit in slots. You'll see the holes. Line it all up. 2 screws. Again, do not over tighten. There is no metal backing on those screw holes. And make sure they tighten too, because it's possible to get that screw in through the bracket but not into the other hole, and it'll just sit there and spin when you didn't strip it out. So just pull it back out and make sure it actually gets in there and tightens up. Although, I don't really see even the need for these brackets when you got joints like that do not come apart. But any kind of reinforcement is good because they're plastic boxes, so they're good. So don't omit them. And now this lid is actually real easy to put on with one person. It's not a problem at all. Just set it on there with the hinges open. Move it back into place. And it'll stay right there. Run the screw in on one side. There's 3 screws on each side. Excuse me. And you can just run in on one side to get it started, and then run them all in. Done deal. Then there's this piece. It's kind of a hinge, and it goes in between those 2 hinges. There's a spot. It's a plastic piece with 2 pins, and it reinforces the hinge system. And 2 screws. It's got a pin facing left and a pin facing right, and you just wedge it in there. It goes in the holes if you wedge it in. And flip it down, and 2 screws. Easy. Now, in the instructions, it had you put on the locking mechanism earlier, in which case you'd be done, but I put it on now because I don't like to bend over any more than I have to, so now it's a non-bending over chore. I'm 63, so there's 1 screw for the top and 1 screw for the bottom. There's 2 possible positions for that bottom one that I just put in, and put it in on the right, and you're done. That's it. And a dolly moves these around really well. One of those little 4-wheel dollies. You can transport these real well. So thanks for watching, and good luck with your box, and have a good day.